It is my pleasure to introduce the amazing Austin FC Soccer Club Hype Band, Banda 512!
hope he sees all of this, and I hope he sees all of us rising up.
Thank you, Bonda 512. When I say my body, you say my choice. My body. My choice. My body. My body. My body. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. My name is Jamil Green, and I'd like to introduce the woman I am honored to share this stage with today, Diana Gomez, the Advocacy Director from Progress, Texas. Progress, Texas is a rapid response progressive media organization, and they are the leaders in making sure progressive voices are heard here in Texas. Thank you, Diana, for being with me this morning.
And thank you, Jamu. It is my honor to introduce my co-MC, Jamu Green. Jamu is the founder and CEO of We Defend Truth, a new organization leading the fight against online disinformation. She is also an evangelist for good, a proud Texan that you've probably seen on television defending progressive values for the last 12 years as a political commentator. Let's give it up for Jamu.
All right, Diana. We've got serious business to do this morning, and we also want to make sure that we do it with as much energy and joy that we can bring to this work. But y'all, we gotta take a moment to recognize that yes, our deepest fears are coming true. We are at a crisis moment for abortion access, and as the court prepares to end the constitutional right to abortion, which is a dangerous and unprecedented outcome that will lead to the floodgates opening around the country for states to ban abortion, yes, we are devastated. Yes, we are furious, rightly so, and yes, we will fight back. And yes, we will win. How we win is very important. Before we start the speeches, and we're going to be doing a lot, I hope you brought your loudest voice, we're going to be doing a lot of chanting today. How we win is by being in this fight together and for each other, and for the communities that will likely be impacted more by the lack of abortion access because of class, race, gender, ability, sexual orientation, and documentation status. So before we begin, I want you to just all take a deep breath. However you want to do it, if you want to raise your hands up in the air, take a deep breath, let that out. I want you to turn to your neighbor on your left and say, I got you. I want you to turn to your neighbor on the right and say, we got this. I want you to turn to the front and I'm going to say, my body, my body, my body.
Alrighty. Now I got a question for y'all. Are y'all here today because you're ready to fight back? No, I know I'm with y'all. I'm mad as hell. But I'm here today because I believe in people power. Do y'all believe in people power? All right, now repeat after me. When I say, come on, join the fight, you're going to say abortion is a human right. You ready? Come on, and join the fight.
Abortion is a human right.
Come on, and join the fight.
Abortion is a human right.
Come on, and join the fight. Woo! You're ready? Okay, now one more housekeeping thing. If there are folks that need ADA accessible seating, we have some seating right here to the right of the stage. And let's see. Cool. Entries.
Let's get this started. 14 years ago, I had the honor of meeting this young woman while we were fighting for our rights in the presidential primary campaign. Dr. Nicole Prescott is a passionate and research-driven leader, educator, and longtime advocate for educational equity and Indigenous and women's rights. She is a citizen of the federally recognized Miami Tribe of Oklahoma. Please join us in welcoming Dr. Nicole Prescott for our land acknowledgement.
I love you too. Aya cheke ewe makeke. Neweta wenswiane myamya tawenge. Nicole akala shamat tawenge. Nila myamikwia. Hello, all my relatives. My myamya name is Neweta, which means she speaks. Nicole is my English name. I'm a proud Miami woman, a citizen of the Miami Nation of Oklahoma. It is an honor to be with you all here today, fighting for our rights, fighting for reproductive justice. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are located on the indigenous lands of Turtle Island, the ancestral name for what is now called North America. I'd like for you to join me in honoring the traditional stewards of this land upon which we now stand: the Alabama Cushada, the Caddo, the Carrizo, Come Crudo, Coahuitecan, Comanche, Kickapoo, Lipan Apache, Tonkawa, and Isleta del Sur Pueblo, and all the indigenous peoples who have been or become a part of these lands. We must not forget we are on native land. We must not forget that this is not the first time women's bodies have been a site of contestation and control by state actors. We must not forget that we have fought this fight before. Women have always fought to gain and maintain sovereignty over our own bodies. Native women know this struggle all too well. Historically, reproductive rights have been denied to Native American women, from rape as a means of colonial domination and warfare, to the coerced and forced sterilization of Native women in the 60s, 70s, and into the 1990s. An estimated 3,400 indigenous women in the U.S. were either forced, coerced, or were unknowingly sterilized as part of the federal government's quote-unquote family planning services. And we must not forget the thousands of missing and murdered indigenous women whose plights are left unsolved and unexplored. Indigenous women suffer from the highest rates of rape and sexual assault. We are more than twice as likely than white women to die from conditions caused or exacerbated by pregnancy, no matter the means of that pregnancy. In cities, we are 4.5 times more likely to die. The U.S. ranks worst out of all the developed nations on maternal mortality, an indicator of a society's overall health. That says a great deal, doesn't it? The situation is dire. Many Native women access health care through the Indian Health Service, a provision enshrined in treaties in exchange for our seized lands. On the heels of Roe v. Wade, Congress passed the Hyde Amendment, which restricted federal funds from being used to terminate a pregnancy. Since the Indian Health Service is federally funded, this disproportionately affected Native women. And since poverty rates are high in Native communities, private medical care is often not an option. As a result of these and other restrictive policies, coupled with intergenerational poverty, the infant mortality rates in Native communities are twice that of non-Hispanic white communities. Reversing Roe v. Wade will undoubtedly make this bad situation worse. Mothers are dying. Children are dying, and they say that this is about ensuring life. Right. We must not forget, and we must not yield. We must not forfeit the sovereign right to control our own bodies. Native women, all women, must be assured equal access to reproductive care and services and the ability to make decisions about when or whether we decide to reproduce. We will not forget. And now we fight. I see my wife and my kids in the crowd here in the front. To my daughters, we fight for you. Kikwesitule, I show my respect to you all in solidarity. Thank you.
Yes. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you.
One more time, give it up for Dr. Prescott. Now, before we continue, I want to bring up a thing I brought up earlier, and that's people power. Now, we have some folks here protesting against us. They might yell, but we are louder, are we not? And I want to ask y'all two things. One, let's not engage with them. Okay? They are not worth our time. All right? Let's not engage with them. If folks want to redirect their energy, it's to fighting back against people who are taking away our right to abortion access, right? I want to welcome y'all, if you want to get closer to the stage. I know it's hot, so no pressure. But if instead of channeling your rage towards people who are distracting us, let's come together and let's engage in that people power. Are we ready? Now it is my honor and my privilege to introduce former state senator, founder of These Not Words, Miss Wendy Davis.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. In a moment that we've been fighting against for years, a moment that we feared was coming, but somehow we still had this hope that it wasn't actually ever going to arrive. And in this moment, what I find myself thinking about as a mother and a grandmother of two granddaughters, I think about the stories that I've told them as they are growing up. I think about the fact that I have promised them that they could be whatever they want to be. That the world is an equal one in which they can do just as much as any boy can do. And we all got so focused on making sure that we could make that promise come true for them. We were fighting to make sure they could be paid equally. They could get into colleges and graduate schools in equal numbers. They could have equal seats in political bodies all over the country. And yet, while we were busy working to make sure if they had children, they could get child care, and while we were busy working to make sure that we could have a tax credit for women who need it, who have children that they can't support, while we were busy doing all of that, behind us, there was a group of people that was working to do everything they could to make sure that that promise we had told our daughters their whole lives was a lie. And so now, here we are in this moment where our daughters and our granddaughters are going to have less rights than we had when we were growing up. I cannot even believe we are here. And you know, it's not just our daughters and our granddaughters who are hurt by this. It is their families that they will have one day. It is the women who live in America right now who already have families that they are struggling to support. It's our Black and brown sisters who are disproportionately impacted when we remove access to bodily autonomy. And you know, I know you agree with me that our rights should not depend on how much money we have in the bank. And right now, that's the world that we are living in. And understandably, we are so mad. We are upset. We are grieving. And we're wondering, what do we do? And I have to say, friends, the cavalry is not coming to save us. We are the cavalry. We are. And I've been thinking that same question, you know, what do we do? And I put some thoughts down, and I hope you find some meaning in there. The first one is to show up. To show up for ourselves, for each other, for women that we have never met and will never know, for our trans men, and for people who are non-binary. We need to show up for them. Because showing up matters. Visible upset matters. Number two, I want you, if you're a daughter, to talk to your moms and your grandmoms. I want you to make sure that they understand what's at stake in this election and that they need to show up, not just for themselves, but for you and the generations behind them. When we go vote in the runoff on May 24th, early voting starts on Monday. Let's make a statement. Let's make a statement that in the Democratic Party, if you don't support access to abortion, we will not support you. And moms and grandmoms, we have young women who haven't yet felt the impact of what this is going to mean in their lives. Please share your stories. If you've had an abortion, share that story with someone that you love. If you know someone who's had one, if you know what it was like to live in a pre-Roe world, please help our young people understand that. Number three, donate to abortion funds. Donate to abortion funds. Donate to abortion funds. Number four, when you go vote, please take 5 people with you. 5 friends with you. And in each of these actions, I hope that you will be relentless. You will be relentlessly hopeful. You will relentlessly work, relentlessly volunteer, relentlessly donate, and relentlessly vote. And most importantly, that you will educate relentlessly about where this is all leading. Because we all know that this is not where it ends, because they are coming for us. They are coming for our LGBTQ friends and family. They are coming for our birth control. They are coming for our IUDs. They're coming for in vitro fertilization. And they're not going to be happy until they have put us back in our place. Because that's what this is all about, and we know it. Dr. Martin Luther King assured us, encouraged us, inspired us with his words that the arc of the moral universe bends toward justice. But it doesn't happen by itself. It's our responsibility to bend it for our daughters. It's our responsibility to bend it for our granddaughters. It's our responsibility to bend it for our LGBTQ partners. It's up to us to make sure that our daughters will inherit the full and equal world to which they have every right. God bless you. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Wendy Davis. She's been standing with us for a long time, right? Okay, I have another thank you. I have to say personally, thank you to Planned Parenthood. Because when I was 18, growing up here in Austin, Texas, when I was 18 and got pregnant and knew I was not ready to be a mother, didn't have a job, didn't have money, my friends came to my assistance, and Planned Parenthood was there for me when I needed an abortion. Thank you, Planned Parenthood. And today, we have abortion funds doing that work for us, so I need each of you to pull out your phone and go to needabortion.org and support the work that abortion funds are doing for women like me who are in need. I want to introduce Paige Alexandria. Paige is on the board of the Lilith Fund, the abortion fund that serves us right here in Austin, and also a former patient.
Hey everyone, those anti-choicers are being real loud, but can we be louder? Yeah. When I say fund abortion, you say Bill Power, okay? Fund abortion! Fund abortion! Fund abortion! All right, my name is Paige Alexandria, and I'm on the board of the Lilith Fund, which is the oldest abortion fund serving the central and southern regions of Texas. I'm also a queer parent who received assistance from the Lilith Fund for my own abortion in 2016. At Lilith Fund, we provide financial assistance to Texans seeking abortions, and since the 6-week ban went into effect last September, we've been doing everything we can to ensure our clients can still access abortion. We will always do everything we can to ensure our clients are supported because we know that the people that we count on are not in this building behind us. No, the only people that we can count on are each other. Can we count on all of you? Abortion was already extremely difficult to access in Texas. Our clients, most who are Black and brown women, parents, and low-income earners, are forced to undergo mandatory ultrasounds, a 24-hour waiting period, bias, state-mandated counseling, and they can't use their private or state insurance to pay for it. Since the 6-week ban decimated abortion access across our state, our clients have been hurting now more than ever. We've been covering most people's procedures in full so that they don't have to cancel or reschedule, which can often push access further and further away. Most of our clients have no choice but to go out of state.
Each month, over 1,000 Texans travel to another state to have a perfectly safe procedure that could be performed locally to them. The folks that don't have the privilege of traveling out of state, many who are parents, young people, poor people, black people, disabled people, trans and non-binary people, they have no choice but to continue pregnancies they weren't ready for, didn't consent to, or aren't safe for them to continue. Contrary to some well-intended but harmful messaging, abortion bans, especially abortion bans like this, do stop people from getting abortions. They stop the people who need them the most. Is that okay? Fuck no! But you know what? Here in Texas, we've been living in a post-war world for a long fucking time. And we have an entire coalition of abortion funds, practical support organizations, and providers who are here to help you get the resources that you need. We have been bullied, intimidated, threatened out of doing our work, but we will always be here to support you. You deserve the dignity to make your decision however many times you need. 1 abortion, 2 abortion, 3 abortions, however many. You can always count on abortion funds. Thank you. If you've had an abortion, I fucking love you.
Woohoo! Let's give it up one more time for the last speaker!
It's the raw music.
One more time, come on and join the fight. Abortion is a human right. Come on and join the fight. Yeah, awesome. Now I'm honored to introduce our next team of speakers. Both of them are amazing fighters. Back behind me in the Texas legislature, Representative Donna Howard is the chair of the Women's Health Caucus. And we have Carol Alvarado, who's the chair of the Senate Democratic Committee. Let's welcome them on stage.
Good morning. Good morning, Texas. Today is May the 14th, 2022. If you feel like you've just walked onto the set of The Handmaid's Tale, well, you're right. But see, these Texas women, we've been in this fight for a long time. In case you didn't know, Texas women are tough. You think about Ann Richards, Barbara Jordan, Wendy Davis, Leticia Vanderpute, and these women up here. So let's talk about what's been going on in Texas. You see, after Roe v. Wade was into law, shortly after that in 1977, Texas passed a law allowing hospitals to refuse to perform abortions. Then in 1999, Texas passed a law requiring parents of women under the age of 18 to be notified. Fast forward, 2003, Texas mandated a 24-hour waiting period. You know how long gun advocates like Moms Demand Action and others, and many of us have been asking for a 24-hour period for someone to buy a gun? But we have a 24-hour waiting period if you want an abortion, and you have to sit and read a brochure that's very misleading. What they're telling us is that women aren't smart enough to make their own decisions. You have to sit, wait 24 hours and read a brochure. But guess what? We're going to show them how smart we are in November. And then in 2005, the started fueling millions of dollars into crisis pregnancy centers who really don't even provide actual health care. And then in 2005, the state mandated parental consent for those under 18. And then in 2011, there was a sonogram law. yours truly, I just happened to have a vaginal probe on the Texas floor with me, and I went toe-to-toe with Sid Miller. And then recently, the governor, during the pandemic, used the pandemic to say that abortion services were unnecessary procedures. So you see, this has been building up. And then, oh wait, it gets better. And then the mother of all bills, el más chingón de todos, Senate Bill 8 comes along, where you ban abortion when women don't even know that they're pregnant, and then you allow bounty hunters to go after people who are helping women get an abortion. Bounty hunters. So for the first time in modern history in America, you're going to have a population, half of a population that has less rights than the other half. We're not going to stand for it. We're not going to take it. And let's just put it simple like this. Whether you are for abortion or not, my God, at least stand for the fact that women should control and own their own bodies. Our constitutional right to bodily autonomy is being stripped away with every strike of the gavel in legislative bodies across the nation. They're taking what we did in Texas and spreading it around like a virus. Now look, we cannot turn our backs. Even if pregnancy, abortion never crosses your path, we cannot let up. It was Martin Niemöller that said, it goes something like this: first they came for the trade unionists. I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. We cannot give up. We cannot stop. We deserve the respect, and we deserve to make our own choices. Say it with me. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. Thank you. Let's give it up for State Representative Donna Howard.
I want to thank all of you for being here with us today. It is so incredibly wonderful to see all of you here supporting us. These women up here have been working tirelessly for years, and I want to introduce them as well. We have State Representative Celia Israel, State Representative Cheryl Cole, and State Representative Gina Hinojosa. And I also want to give a shout out to Constable Stacy Suits, who's with us today, ensuring that we have the right to gather and protest and do it safely. I know what it was like before Roe v. Wade because I came of age before Roe v. Wade. I remember the whispered conversations about pregnancy and abortion. I remember unmarried women being unable to access birth control or having to get our father's signature to obtain a credit card even when we were supporting ourselves. I remember what it was like to have our plans, our educational and employment dreams thrown out the window because of an unexpected pregnancy. Roe v. Wade changed all of that. After Roe, women were free to decide for themselves whether or not they wanted to have a child and if or when they wanted to start a family. We were finally free to make our own decisions about our bodies and our futures, chart our own destinies. And let me just remind you, that is a freedom that sperm donors have always had and will continue to have. The right to seek abortion care has been critical to our equal participation in society. Possessing the freedom of self-determination, having autonomy over one's own body is foundational to democracy and to self-governance itself. We up here are in the fight of our lives in this building. We know they will not stop with Roe. They're already talking about banning contraceptives and in vitro fertilization. And some are unbelievably even calling for the criminalization of women who seek abortions. And the constitutional privacy protection, which would be scrapped with the overturn of Roe, sets a very dangerous precedent to go after and overturn other privacy protections: same-sex marriage, interracial marriage, and access to contraceptives. Meanwhile, the so-called pro-life movement has done the bare minimum to protect life after birth in our state. Those of us up here have worked tirelessly to improve access to quality health care services in our state. We have begged, literally begged through tears on the House floor for our Republican colleagues to join and expand access to birth control so we can avoid unexpected pregnancies in the first place, but to no avail. Instead, we've continued to funnel millions of state dollars into sham programs like Alternatives to Abortion and Operation Lone Star. We have had one of the highest rates of uninsured people in the country, and women die at a higher rate from pregnancy-related complications than in most other states. And yet, these long-stated facts have not been enough to convince these so-called pro-life, pro-family conservatives to increase access and funding to programs that we know will help Texas families. Our biggest mistake has been that on that day, a half a century ago, when Roe was decided, a half a century ago, we did not begin our fight to protect that right. We've relied on the courts, but now we find ourselves here in Texas after passage of Senate Bill 8 without the constitutional protection that's guaranteed to every other American in our country. The Supreme Court has turned its back on us. Congress has been unable to pass legislation to protect us, and it's now going to be up to state legislatures and state elected officials who are our last line of defense. We must show them our rights are no longer up for debate because they should never have been in the first place. We have the power to make sure that our government is made up of individuals who represent and reflect our values. If we want our government to boldly stand up for every person's right to control their own destiny, then we need to elect people who will do that. We need to elect more pro-choice, progressive candidates and vote out those who, by their draconian actions, have brought us here today. We must elect candidates who will support families by increasing access to the resources and services that they need to thrive. Today, we will raise our voices. Today, we can be angry. And also today and tomorrow, we will get to work. We will register to vote and become deputy voter registrars so that we can register more voters. We will talk to our friends and our family and our neighbors about these issues, and we will not be afraid or intimidated. Pro-choice is pro-life. Pro-choice is pro-family. Pro-choice is pro-democracy. The Republicans may hold the majority in this building up here, where they've committed their crusade to erode our rights. But we up here, all of you here, we represent the majority of Texans who want to protect access to safe and legal abortion. The stakes are too high for us to fail. Our future and the future of our children and grandchildren hang in the balance. We will prove that our right to control our own destiny will not be stripped away from us. I believe each and every one of you has the power to change the future. I hope you stand with me, with us, as we continue in our fight for reproductive justice and reproductive freedom. I am with you. We are with you. We are the majority, and we're not going back.
Brave elected officials for their leadership, and I know we're also joined by County Attorney Delia Garza and City Councilwoman Ann Kitchen. Thank you for your leadership. We know that all people deserve access to abortion when they need it, on a timeline they choose, and in the community they trust. I want to thank our ASL interpreters for bringing this message. Help me out here in the front. We're recording this for folks online, so let's make sure we're not blocking the ASL interpreter with these incredible signs. Sex is not a crime, but forced birth is a punishment. Those elected officials were amazing. And I also want y'all to think about one of the things you can do. Do you see the back of my shirt? What does it say? Go vote, go run, go lead. I know there are people in this audience who could be on the stage with those amazing elected officials, so it's your time to also figure out who you know, and if that person is you, put your name in the hat. It is time for us to be the leaders we are looking for. Join me in welcoming to the stage a fourth-generation Texan and the co-executive director of the Texas Organizing Project. She also has the hair I used to have 2 weeks ago, Brianna Brown.
I always wanted to come out to some hype music. My name is Brianna Brown. I'm one of the co-executive directors of the Texas Organizing Project. I'm a fourth-generation Texan. I'm raising 2 little fifth-generation Texans. Whoa. My speech just flew. And Texas is my home. It has been my people's home for a very long time. It is as much mine as it is Greg Abbott's. It is as much yours as it is Dan Patrick's. If you believe that Texas belongs to you, let me hear you say home. Home. I work for the Texas Organizing Project. We're a statewide community-based organization who for the last 12 years has been causing ruckus up in here and in the halls of city and county governments across Texas. We fight with political power on one fist and people power on the other fist. Let me hear you say people power, political power, people power, political power. We believe that our democracy should not only look like us, but share our values. And to be clear, that means our democracy should be black like us. It should be brown like us. It should be gender expansive like us. It should be LGBTQIA like us, immigrant like us, heathen like us, faithful like us, fierce and progressive like us. At top, we are unapologetic about our fights being about the pursuit of racial justice. And the fight for health care is undoubtedly a fight for racial justice, as is the fight for abortion care. We know that history matters. It is alive and well in the systems that sometimes stranglehold our lives. We know that white supremacy exists not only in individuals. Hello, Abbott. Hello, Cruz. Hello, Manchin. But it exists in institutions like the one I'm standing behind and in the Supreme Court. It's not a coincidence that Texas has the highest rates of folks who are uninsured. 4.3 million, and 72% of those folks who are uninsured are black or brown. It is not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence that the map of former slave-holding states mirrors the map of states that did not expand their Medicaid. The fight for health care is a fight for racial justice. The fight for abortion access is a fight for racial justice. More than 2/3 of people who get abortions in Texas are Texans of color, black and brown. It is not a coincidence that the radical right wing is hell-bent on banning us from making decisions about our own bodies. About a very fundamental idea that we can determine our own futures. Together, let's remember Loretta Ross's reproductive justice framework, right? 1, we have the right not to have children. 2, we have the right to have children. 3, we have the right to parent our children in safe and healthy environments. We can use this framework to dream, to vision out what a Texas for all looks like, what it feels like, what it tastes like. Not for the radical right wing, whose ideas are retrograde and unpopular. We are building a Texas for all that looks like us. Remember what I said, Texas is our home. Our what? Our what? Speaking of home, there's an image I have of my grandmother when I think about what the future might look like, when I'm trying to vision, which is a part of my job as an organizer, and it's a part of your job too if you are standing in this audience. It's a mental snapshot I have of her that I must have taken millions of times. It's of her standing on the corner of her block. Shout out that she lived here in Austin, Springdale and Leslie. If you know, you know. And she's cupping her hand on her head like this. And her chin is raised and she's kind of twisting to get a last glimpse. And I know she's praying. She's praying for safe passage on whatever my next adventure is. She's standing on that corner and she is holding a vision. She is seeing me through to the other side. Our first job today is to hold tight to that vision. That a different Texas is possible. And that we have the freedom to determine what that future looks like. That together we can in fact win. Because this is our home. Our what? If you can see a future where legal abortions are available and affordable, put your hand up like this, like my grandmother did. If you can imagine a future where our democracy looks like us and shares our values, put your chin up. If you can imagine a future where our children are safe and happy, do a little twist. This is our home. This is our home. Our what? Our what?
Let's give it up one more time for Brianna! All right, I want to take a second to recognize Mayor Pro Tem Allison Alters in the audience, and so is Councilmember Paige Alice. Let's give it up for them. I am so honored to introduce our next speaker. They are a beautiful person all around, and I'm honored to call them a friend. They're the policy and advocacy strategist at the ACLU of Texas and a fierce advocate for trans rights in Texas. Give it up for Audrey Perez!
Hello. Good afternoon, Austin. What do we want? Abortion. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? And if we don't get it, shut it down. And if we don't get it, and if we don't get it, thank you. I think actually, you know what, the shutting it down part is actually a part that our elected leaders unfortunately took care of us this weekend because they didn't fix the electric grid. So here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to take care of each other because the courts won't save us. It's up to us to save ourselves. And we take care of each other when we support our friends and our family members and our loved ones in seeking abortion care. We take care of each other when we support abortion funds across the state of Texas. We take care of each other by making sure that the work does not end here. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to win, and we must love and support each other. My name is Audrey Perez, and I work for the ACLU of Texas, defending and protecting trans rights. And 13 years ago, I had an abortion, and it saved my life. So let me tell you something. Bodily autonomy and self-determination are at the core of every single progressive issue that we fight for. There's no such thing as them coming after LGBTQ rights or trans rights next. They are coming after them right now. And whether it's a right to abortion or the rights of transgender people across the states, in both cases, they are preventing us from accessing life-saving, medically necessary health care. The government has no business interfering in doctor-patient relationships. And it is indefensible for any state leader to weaponize the so-called child welfare system against our loving families who are just supporting the hell out of their trans kids. Trans rights are repro rights, and repro rights are trans rights. This fight is about fighting back against government control and an extremist, authoritarian government that will do anything to get it. Because if they valued our lives, the lives of each and every one of you, they would respect doctors who provide abortions. They would respect doctors who provide transgender health care. They would expand Medicaid and fund education. And they would fix the goddamn electric grid that might fail. The hypocrisy is overwhelming, and it is meant to be. You are meant to be overwhelmed, but you are also hopefully enraged. Are you mad? Well, good, because we can turn that anger into action, because there are more of us than there are of them. We know that. And it is on all of us to come together and fight back. Together we can stop this. Together we can make our voices be heard and say no more government control in our lives. We make the decisions for ourselves and our futures. We're not living through unprecedented times, and that's good news, to be quite honest. We are here because there are waves and waves of people that have fought before us to get us to this moment. They have done it before, and we can do it again. It is our duty to fight. Say it with me. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to win. We must love and support each other. We know that what happens in Texas does not end in Texas, but what we do here affects an entire country, and what we build here can show the entire country what we're capable of. Texas is my home, and I'm not leaving. So say it with me one more time. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to win. We must love and support each other. Thank you.
One more time for Audrey Perez. So I'm going to tell y'all I'm about to be 50 in a couple of weeks. That means for my entire life, basically starting at 6 months, I had Roe v. Wade protecting my right to make my health care decisions. It is our duty to fight. But I was talking to one of our speakers back there about, we've been here before, y'all. I've been on this spot, on this stage before. Y'all have been marching before. How many marches have we been at? Let's make this one our last one as we turn this around. How are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? I need you to take out your phone. I know y'all all have phones. And text 22422. Text Raleigh to 22422. Sign the petition to protect Roe, and this is how we keep fighting after today. Join me in welcoming to the stage Kamiah Factory. She is the Central Texas organizer for Black Voters Matter. She's the executive director of Black Freedom Factory, and because Planned Parenthood knows how to train the best activists, she was a Planned Parenthood Texas Votes Youth Power Fellow. Welcome, Kamiah Factory.
Hello, Austin, Texas. How are we feeling today, Austin, Texas? My name is Kamiah Factory. I am the Central Texas Regional Organizer for Black Voters Matter. I am the Executive Director of Black Freedom Factory, and I am the co-founder of the hashtag Change Rape Culture movement. I'm here to tell you today that you are a threat. To bear children, to menstruate, to give a damn, to simply exist, all threaten the agenda of the patriarchy. When I think about reproductive freedom, I think about the autonomy and the power of the people. I urge everybody to contemplate what reproductive freedom really means to the ghetto, to communities who are marginalized and stripped of basic human rights every day in the name of racism and redlining. The impending overturning or reversal of Roe versus Wade is nothing new to the ghetto. What does reproductive freedom mean to a woman who is incarcerated for a petty marijuana charge, who is pregnant by her rapist, and all but free due to the chains of mass incarceration? What does freedom mean for youth who never had proper sexual education due to conservative laws and zero access to contraceptives? Or an individual with a disability whose fetus is incompatible with their body? What does reproductive freedom mean to countless Black mothers who have lost their lives when the healthcare system ignored their cries for help and complications due to childbirth? the insidious racism that exists in our current healthcare system that adversely and disproportionately affects Black and brown communities is unacceptable. What does reproductive freedom mean to a Haitian migrant who was raped on her journey seeking asylum to the United States with all but clothes and her 8-month-old baby on her back? What does reproductive freedom mean to a transgender individual who doesn't align with having a uterus and carrying out the gender binary by going through with the full-term pregnancy? What does reproductive freedom mean to a church member who was raped by their pastor? I say all of this to say that freedom is more than a choice. Reproductive freedom is having autonomy. Freedom is Roe versus Wade in all of its glory. Reproductive freedom means that you have a viable choice to choose whether or not to have children and to have access to safe, alternative contraceptive education or access to health care. Let me be very clear. As I say Black voters matter, I still understand that elected officials who have a propaganda to stifle our access to reproductive justice on a national and local scale conveniently forget the most important thing, aside from the fact that they are public servants. They forget that it's about us. We are the people that they dare to represent. I do, though, want to highlight elected officials who champion these issues every single day, who use their power and their privilege to pull up a seat at the table for us. If you are an elected official who is listening today, I encourage you to come out of your ivory tower and hear me when I say that Texas saw a total of 25,000 rejected mail-in ballots in the recent primary election. The very foundation of this nation is crumbling, yet I am here to remind you that we, the people, will not. We will march, we will knock, we will show up to the polls, we will call to humble the legislators who think that they have a say in our sex lives, our uteruses, and our gender perception. But finally, allow me to use my cisgender able-bodied privilege to make clear the intersection that abortion access is more than a women's issue. When one of us is affected, all of us are impacted. Hug your neighbors, thank your ancestors, and join me as I say, Black voters matter. Indigenous voters matter. Transgender voters matter. Bisexual voters matter. Gay voters matter. Lesbian voters matter. Undocumented immigrant voters matter. Muslim voters matter. Educator voters matter. Latino voters matter. Voters with disabilities matter. Future voters matter. We can't stop, and we won't stop because it's about us. What do we want? if we don't get it, if we don't get it.
Thank you, Austin, Texas. All right, let's get this rally going. Are we ready? First I want to recognize Judge Andy Brown is in the crowd. And I'm excited to introduce a fellow Latina, fellow Gomez. She is a We Testify storyteller and a longtime community activist. Welcome, Stephanie Gomez.
I don't think it's morning anymore. Hello, Austin, Texas, how are you doing? If you fucking love abortions, make some noise. And I'm here to share my abortion story with you today, but I know that I am not the only person who has had an abortion. If you have had an abortion, make some noise. Woo! Thank you so much. I literally love my abortion, and I'm so excited to be with y'all here today. So I'm going to take y'all back in time, all right? I want you to imagine me, head to toe, 2012 emo. And I am in my high school, in my black skinny jeans and my Panic at the Disco hoodie, and and I go inside the bathroom, and I find out that I am pregnant. Do you want to know the first thing that came into my mind? It was that Stephanie Gomez needs an abortion, and that Stephanie Gomez is going to get an abortion no matter what. From that very moment, I knew that I was going to seek an abortion and nothing was going to stop me. Didn't matter the misinformation that I had been told my entire life about abortions. It did not matter that I grew up both Catholic and evangelical. It's a long story. And it did not matter that I lived in one of the most restrictive states for abortion that has only become more extremist and more restrictive since time has gone by. What I did not know, however, was how many hurdles I would actually have to go through to access my abortion. Figuring out how I was going to miss school twice, figuring out how I was going to avoid my parents finding out, figuring out how I was going to actually get to the abortion clinic, figuring out how I was going to get the money